it would require federal agencies to explain in written public statements that reference the settlement amount, whether any portion of the amount is potentially tax deductible and includes the cost of credits for routine conduct. It would also require the Act to post basic information about these settlements over $1 million on their websites and provide copies of such stuff. Also, they want companies to require that companies that settle with enforcement agencies to state in their SEC filings whether they have deducted any settlement payments from their taxes, explain if these settlements are confidential, they need to explain why they are deemed confidential, and they would require federal agencies to report annual aggregate statistics on confidential settlements. So I think this is huge, and very exciting in many respects that this is happening. And I look forward to it moving through Congress and the Senate and see what happens. But it's really a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's huge, and it goes along with what Senator Warren does, right? Which is trying to find accountability in any way she can to make sure that the companies that were responsible for the meltdown get held to account. And the funny thing is hopefully if this does pass, it will help the media do its job, right? Because the media is misreporting things left and right. And I'm not even talking like the regular, Fox News not reporting the stuff. I'm actual, Washington Post and New York Times, where because they're not digging deeper on what the fines are actually about, they're reporting things like J.P. Morgan paid $20 billion and because of mortgage-backed securities, and the $20 billion is not even right. And the funny thing is, there's a difference between what is written off and what's not, right? If it's restitution, it's written off, but if it's a fine, it's not. Which makes sense, right? If it's a fine, it's not supposed to be written off. Well, we're finding out that a lot of these penalties are actually being largely written off by the companies.
That's exactly right, and they write it off as a loss, or they pass it on to their stockholders or to their customers, and so they're not really affected when these fines are being doled out, when they settle the fine. So it should be interesting. I would like to end on a point that the Nation writes, and I'm quoting them. They say, no doubt the deeply conservative Senator Coburn is an unusual partner for Warren, but it dovetails with the long-standing interest in government transparency and the federal ledger. Our bill this is quote unquote, our bill gives taxpayers the transparency tools they need to access real information.
I was immensely surprised that Coburn was on there. I mean, it was just one of those things where it's like, seriously? Obviously no oil companies were involved, which is why he's on there. But no, in all seriousness, it's, hopefully this also will not only, help the media do its job, but maybe get the regulators to actually stop settling with all these companies, right? And actually make them enforce the law. Because a lot of these settlements that are being handed out by regulatory agencies like the OCC, right? Who's supposed to be there to regulate these banks, and they're not. They're cutting basically backdoor bailouts with these companies, because they can just write off a lot of their supposed fines.
You bring up an interesting point, that some of the regulatory agencies will now be able to enforce the regulations that they're supposed to do.
Right, and I mean, it's like the OCC settled with 13 mortgage servicers recently, right? It was supposed to be an $8 billion settlement, but $5 billion of that was actually in credits. And the funny thing is, in order to get full credit for for the settlement, the mortgage servicers only had to forgive a small portion of whatever the loan was. So if there was someone that had a $500,000 loan and the bank or the mortgage servicer forgave 15, 20,000 of it, they get full credit for the $500,000 forgiveness, which is totally ridiculously unfair, right?